Next, speak up when others are intolerant. Oh, yes, because you can't have a society without informers and tattletales to report on the wrong speak and the politically incorrect speech of others. Yes, we cannot have people saying things that do not conform with the agreed upon social narrative. We must report these people. We must shame them. We must enact social justice against them. Say something when you see teasing or harassment. Yeah, when you see kids being kids. And by the way, when I was a kid, I saw more of girls teasing and harassing and shaming and being cruel and bullying than I saw boys doing. And role play with boys so that they can intervene when they see it. Yes! If you were a pussy white knight mangina as a very little kid, be sure to teach other boys who are not pussy white knight manginas how to be pussy white knight manginas and to white knight for women. Because what this is really saying is, so say something when you see teasing harassment. What it really means is say something when you see boys teasing, harassing girls, and role play with boys. Notice it doesn't say role play with girls. Oh, because girls, they don't need to be taught how to not harass and tease. Only boys are so evil and cruel. Oh, well, I thought that this particular statement, speak up when others were intolerant, was speaking to both boys and girls. I thought maybe somewhere in this article would be equally addressing boys and girls, but I don't know if it's about boys and how evil boys are. Of course, what was I thinking? Yes, only boys need to be taught how to intervene and stop other boys from being scumbags and abusing women and treating girls badly. Of course! It goes on to say, speak up when they're inappropriate too. Right, when you see other boys being inappropriate, you need to speak up. You need to stand up because those girls, they're not strong enough. They don't have a voice. They can't stand up for themselves without you. Wait a second. I thought women were strong and independent and as strong as a man. I don't see women supporting or standing up for guys when guys have to fight for themselves, when they have to stand up for themselves, when they've been treated inappropriately, and the guy stands up for himself. I don't see a bunch of women all gathering behind him to support him. Yet we're supposed to do that for women. Isn't it very interesting? Women want all the benefits of being equal to men, but they don't want any of the responsibilities. You know, there's responsibility when you're essentially a strong, independent person. The key word is independent. You stand up for yourself. If other people are standing up for you, you're not independent. You're not being independent. So they want to talk the talk, but they don't want to walk the walk. Essentially, they want you to see them as independent and strong, and thereby they want to benefit from the way society treats strong, independent people. And they want to be seen in that kind of light, but they don't want to actually be that. No, you got a white knight for me. You're a man. So, I don't believe in stereotypes. I don't believe in gender stereotypes. But I do believe in my stereotypes. You're a man, so you need to protect me. Wait, what? Are you strong and independent? You should be able to protect yourself. Why am I protecting you? Why do I need to stand up when somebody does anything inappropriate to you? Why? Boys will be boys is not an excuse for bad behavior. Sure it is. What are you talking about? Boys get in fights. Boys insult each other. They insult girls. Boys oftentimes don't like girls until they get to a certain age, and that's when their hormones kick in, and then they simp for the girl, and they become pussies and white knights because they want the pussy. They want the vagina. But before that, I see. So even before that, we have to simp for these women. We have to pretend, okay, that we give a crap about them. You know, that's a wonderful thing before age like 10 or so, 10, 11, you could give a shit about girls. That's one of the wonderful things about being a boy. You don't give a crap. In fact, really, when you are a very young man or a very old one, okay, in fact, a very young one has the much more enviable position in that sense. Sees a girl, what does she have to offer? She's boring, nothing really to talk about, nothing in common. She's not interesting. She's not that intelligent. She just wants to talk about Britney Spears and Beyonce or whoever is popular in the current pop culture. And you're like, she's a vapid airhead. Well, the same thing happens when you get really, really old, unless you are not someone who's been a male feminist indoctrinated. And you see, really, boys are some of the most pure, if they're left alone by these feminist idiot cunts, of men. Because they really see the reality of girls. They don't want anything to do with them. Ew, girls, icky. I mean, what purpose do you serve? Get out of here. And they throw rocks at her and shit. And they try not to hit her, but they throw the rocks to say, get the fuck out of here. We have no use for you. And they don't. And we don't have a use for them. Not really. Well, now, of course, we do. But as I said, once you get really young or really old, once you get into that, when you're really, really young, no hard-ons. When you're really, really old, you're only getting a hard-on with that blue pill, baby. And you don't really have much desire at either age. Both are enviable in that regard. Boys will be boys is not an excuse. Sure it is. We beat each other up all the time, punch each other in the head, good-natured ribbing. Yes, there's an excuse. Oh, we can't be saying that, of course, because boys won't be boys. Boys have to be girls. We can't have them acting like boys. We can't have any sayings going around like boys will be boys. That sounds too much like a stereotype. We can't have the other side having their stereotypes reflecting and reinforcing reality. We need to co-opt those stereotypes. We have to be the ones creating reality, not them. Of course, you know, this is not creating reality. These stereotypes are representations, reflections of what is real. The left takes those and then flips it around and then uses that to impose their beliefs on everyone. Expect more of them. What? Right, because being a boy is less than. Expecting more, not being a boy, is more than. You gotta love the language here. As much as this woman writing this article tries to hide her bias and couch it in some kind of pseudo-intellectual academic language, she is a man-hating feminist. Be vigilant in redirecting conduct. Social engineering. Social engineering, watch every little thing he does and make sure he doesn't act in any way like a man. If he does, redirect him to acting more like a girl, which is demeaning, intolerant. Right, he needs to tolerate girls. He needs to tolerate their way of thinking, their attitudes. He needs to tolerate things that he necessarily shouldn't or wouldn't tolerate without you there to tell him he should. Disrespectful, offensive, Mr. King said. Oh, disrespectful to who? You gotta love this. This is a purely leftist phenomenon. Before the left, you didn't see all this bullshit talk about everybody deserves respect. You need to respect me as a woman. Of course, you never hear that about men. You need to respect me as a man. Why should I respect you? I mean, if you said something like that, you need to respect me as a man. People are like, why? What have you done? You didn't do anything that deserves respect. But when a woman says, you need to respect me as a woman, everybody's like, ooh, yes, ma'am. They all of a sudden they become like simp lemmings all shaking their head in the affirmative. Yes, we need to respect women. Why? What the hell did you do? And by the way, when this person says this, they're talking about respect women. Don't respect men. I love how she leaves out the term women. You need to respect women. She's trying to, as much as she possibly can, hide the fact that she's talking about a totally one-sided bias that's tilted towards women. Respect women. Don't respect men. That's what she's really saying. Men don't deserve automatic respect, but women do. Oh, of course. Total nonsense. But what do you expect from the left, right? Next, never use girl as an insult. Well, why not? I mean, if you're moaning and crying and whimpering, as women more often do than men, why not say, oh, you're acting like a girl? Oh, that's right, because men and women are the same, right? We're not allowed to notice, recognize, see the differences between the sexes. And by the way, the only people who say something's an insult, generally speaking, is when you say something that's true. Otherwise, they're not insulted. So, I mean, they only get insulted when you speak the truth. Women do moan. They do cry. They do act differently than boys, of course. But we're not allowed to see that or recognize that, while at the same time saying that masculinity is toxic, but femininity is not. Wait a second. Well, I thought that males and females were the same and equal. Yeah, now you're saying boys are toxic and girls are not toxic. Wait, what? Goes on to say, don't say and don't let your son say that someone runs like a girl. Wait. Now, you might be surprised by this, but scientists have actually studied the ways that boys and girls throw, and there's an actual difference, a physical difference in the way they throw. Girls, by and large, have a totally different throwing technique, and it's simply based upon the fact that their bodies are built differently. And by the way, because of this technique, I mean, of course, they're weaker as well, but it's also because of this difference in technique that they throw slower and not as far. So, I mean, what? Oh, but we're not allowed to recognize that reality. No, the reality that biology creates noticeable and intrinsic differences between the sexes. Oh, no. We can't point that out. Throws or runs like a girl or use sissy. Oh, come on. Now we can't use the word sissy? Oh, well, geez. I mean, good Lord. They just want to take away everything, don't they? They want to take away everything that has to do with the male bonding and the good-natured ribbing between men and boys. Don't be a sissy. Oh, now we can't even say that, huh? Jeez. Same goes for sexist jokes. Well, how many young boys know a lot of sexist jokes? I mean, I know when I was a little kid, I didn't know any jokes. I mean, what did you know? You know about the one about the chicken crossing the road and shit. That's it. What other jokes do you know as a as a little boy? Come on. You're not too sophisticated in your humor when you're 10 or 11. Anyway, and they'll probably find something sexist about the chicken crossing the road joke, too. Be careful with subtler language. Yeah, only the left gets to use subtle language and manipulation of language and underlying tones and themes to manipulate people. You as a man, or you specifically as somebody who uses logic and reason, no. You're not allowed to do that. Or has a differing ideological viewpoint from theirs. No, not allowed to be subtle. Only they can do that. The research of Emily Kane, another sociologist. You notice how this article is loaded up with these sociologists, okay? Let me tell you something. Sociology is nothing more than the study and application of cultural Marxist ideas, okay? That is all it is. So, of course, this article about how to turn a boy into a girl is loaded with opinions of sociologists. At Bates College shows that parents enforce traditional gender roles for sons, mostly because they fear those sons will be teased. And rightly so. Men have built and maintained civilization since the dawn of time. If you destroy the man, if you destroy male ideals, if you destroy that which makes a man, if you take away what is supposedly his toxic masculinity, which you women seem to have no problem adopting for yourselves. I guess it becomes less toxic when you shoot it into a woman. Well, if you take that away, then you destroy civilization. We can all help by avoiding judgment and avoiding small, everyday assumptions about what a kid will enjoy. They're not assumptions about what a kid will enjoy. We see what they enjoy, and then we encourage it, unless, of course, you try to socially or re-engineer these kids from birth to enjoy other things, and then you essentially reward those kids for enjoying the things that you want them to enjoy, thereby creating a new normal. Yes, right, where you can say, oh, well, not all boys necessarily enjoy this or that. Well, not anymore, because you got all these single moms who have boys wishing they'd had girls because they hate men because daddy left because she was such an annoying bitch who couldn't stop yammering about how great feminism is and how evil men are. And so she hates boys, hates men, so she tries to raise the boy as a girl, and she incentivizes him to adopt new social norms of behavior by rewarding him for liking the things she wants him to like from an early age, while de-incentivizing anything that embraces a more masculine personality and a more manly way of acting and interests that are more in line with what the boy actually prefers. So essentially de-incentivize him to like things that most boys naturally like and incentivize him to like girly things or sissy things. I'm not allowed to use the word sissy, though. Yeah. We can all help by avoiding judgment. First of all, why? Why do I need to avoid being judgmental, okay? I just love how the left doesn't want you to judge anything because they judge everything all the time. If you're on the other side, they judge you as a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, Islamophobe. But you're not allowed to turn that back upon them because they're the ones with the right views. They're 100% right, of course, dogma. And so you can't judge them because they're correct. They can judge you because you're incorrect, of course. And avoiding small everyday assumptions about what the kid will enjoy or be good at and their gender. First of all, no. Okay? I'm not going to... Right. All right, so maybe you should not necessarily assume that a boy is going to like football, over running. But I think I can reasonably assume that he's going to prefer wearing pants to a dress. I think I can reasonably assume that. And I certainly, as a parent, would be irresponsible to push the other gender's preferences on that boy in the name of so-called, being tolerant. So-called tolerance. No. There's a difference between being tolerant and just letting the boy choose what he wants to choose and trying to socially incentivize him to like things that you don't, that you approve of, and then de-incentivizing him to dislike things you disapprove of. Those are not the same things at all. But of course, to the left, socially engineering everything, well, that's their idea of tolerance. Yes, we have a bias in one direction. We hate everything male. We hate everything masculine. But we're going to say, don't be judgmental. What? Right, do as I say, not as I do. Yeah, that's the mantra of all leftists. Boys who get teased could say, no, anyone can play with beads. Or, I am not a girl, but do you think they're worse than boys? Said Lisa Elliott, a neuroscientist at Rosalind Franklin University. Oh, you got to love it. You got to love when scientists bring their personal biases into the laboratory and try to use their scientific work to push their biased agendas. I just love it. The left, I'm not judgmental. I hate men. I hate everything masculine. But, you should not judge. I can judge, but you cannot. And by the way, after reading this one, I can only come to the conclusion that the word boy is an insult. Never use girl as an insult, but being a boy is bad. I mean, that's the whole gist of this entire article, that everything is masculine, manly is bad, okay? This, even though it's on the surface only saying never use girl as an insult, what it's really implying subtly, again, we're not allowed to use subtlety, but they are, is that boys are inferior, girls are superior. Don't insult girls. Don't ever, ever, ever favor or prefer a boy's natural inclinations over girls, but push at him the things that a girl likes most. Yes, you're not being judgmental, but masculinity's toxic. And you need to raise your voice more like girls. But that's so you contradict yourself with statements like that and then statements like these. But of course. So yes, never use girl as an insult, but never use boy as a compliment. Of course not. Yeah, so to recap, don't be judgmental, but push your boy to play with girls' toys and essentially push him away from playing with or embracing anything that has to do with masculinity, manhood, maleness. But don't be judgmental, even though the very act of pushing one toward another and de-incentivizing one is judgmental. Okay, next. Read a lot, including about girls and women. Why? Are you sending these same messages to girls? So it's very interesting. So they're not sending any of these messages to girls. They're signaling out boys. There's something wrong with you. You do not empathize enough with women. You need to become more feminine. There's something intrinsically wrong with being a man. You need to be more in touch with your feelings, your emotions. Saying things like this automatically implies that there's something wrong with being a man. Yeah, what this really means is, no, read about girls and women. Don't read anything about evil, horrible, toxic males and male heroes. Oh, no. Read about woman heroes. Yeah, show me one. Show me, there ain't that many of them. There's a reason for that. You've probably heard that boys excel at science and math, and girls at language and reading. Oh, and of course, these stereotypes just came out of nowhere. And somebody a long time ago, as a man, of course, said, we can rule the world if we control science and math. Now we're going to create this overweening theme that women are no good at these things, and we're going to enforce that through patriarchy, and then we're going to rule the world with science and math, and girls can have language and reading. Yeah, you know how paranoid and idiotic that sounds? Come on. These stereotypes exist because they're generally true. That's what stereotypes are. There's usually at least a kernel of truth in most stereotypes, though not all. And some stereotypes, there's much more than a kernel of truth. And this, of course, is one of those. Yeah. Boys excel overwhelmingly at science and math. And girls at language reading stereotypes can become self-fulfilling. That's true. And you on the left love to create these stereotypes through your gender identity. That's how you manipulate people. Oh, gays are this and blacks are that, and if you're black, you can't be this, and if you're gay, you can't be that, and then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, and these black people, they grow up thinking and believing these things you tell them, that you have magically connected in stereotypical form to being black or being gay. How interesting that you're allowed to use stereotypical tools to manipulate people, but we aren't actually allowed to see the very real differences between genders and then have stereotypes that are actually realistic and not designed to manipulate people. But of course, you see your own hand in everything. You use stereotypical tools to manipulate people. So of course, everybody else must be doing the same. Of course. Mothers talk more with daughters than sons. Yeah, because that's a boy and the mother's a girl and she really can't empathize because she's not a man. You know, I mean, boys are just going to be more comfortable talking to a man, especially about sex and other things, and just being a man than a woman. Oh, but that's not right, because men and women are the same, right? She can be a husband and a wife. She could be a father and a mother. Of course, that's why they want to give her a Father's Day, according to a meta-analysis by Mr. Leeper. Yeah, and I bet you their daughters talk more to mothers than fathers. Ooh, yeah, but they don't want to talk about that. And they don't want that daughter anywhere near the father. She can't learn that men are not toxic scum and evil. We can't have her being exposed too much to men. She might learn that they're not bad. Fight the stereotype by talking to boys, reading to them, encouraging them to read, meaning encouraging them to read Gloria Steinem's crap and all about feminism and make them into, of course, a male feminist, which is your ultimate goal, to create a country full of pussy, man-china, wimp boys that obey your every command. Of course! Read about a wide variety of people, just so long as they're not male people. And stories that break the mold. Of course, when they say break the mold, they mean women that are doing miraculous, wonderful, awesome things, and they don't fit into the stereotypical role of the traditional woman. Not just those about boys saving the world. Of course. See, I called that, didn't I? I called it. I ain't even read this yet, and I called it. And girls needing to be saved. Yes, because we cannot represent the world as it accurately actually is. We cannot represent girls needing to be saved and boys acting as saviors, which they are, by the way. I mean, men save the world, men create the world. I mean, if you consider the fact that more than 90% of deaths on the job are men because the men do all the dangerous jobs, the jobs that maintain and keep society going, and that we've created all of society. We are the saviors of the motherfucking world. We've saved this bitch. Oh, but of course, we're not allowed to acknowledge that. We need to pretend that women played some hand in that as well. When a book or a news item fits the mold, talk about it. Why does the mother in Berenstain Bears, oh good Lord, excuse me. I think my mother might have read that crap to me 40 years ago. I don't know. Maybe 45. Yeah, more like 45. Oh, good Lord. Always wear a house coat and rarely leave the house. What is the news? And now you see, this is what I don't like. So essentially, this is merely to create the belief, the idea that patriarchy, that stereotypical gender roles for women exist everywhere, and you must fight them, you must recognize them, you must see the feminism everywhere. This is all just to inject their ideology and their dogma into everything. Yes, Snow White, she didn't consent to being kissed. So, of course, the prince doesn't kiss her, and then she dies in her coma. She never wakes up. Oh, so just let her die instead of kissing her and waking her up. Oh, no, we can't do that. Let her die because, she didn't give consent. Yeah, she's in a coma, and the kiss would save her. Oh, but that's beside the point. We don't care if she'll be saved. We only care that, female empowerment. You go, girl. Yeah. Why does that? Well, what do we care if the Mother and Berenstain Bears always wears a house coat? Yeah, right. We're not allowed to let our storytelling reflect reality. It has to be used 100% all of the time to push their feminist ideology. That's why they want you to see feminism, see oppression, see how their ideology is right and true in everything you do, even when it comes down to stories being read to a 5-year-old. Yeah, get them while they're young, indoctrinate them while they're young, and you'll have them for life. Goes on to say, why does a news photograph show all white men? Wait. What does that have to do with feminism? What does that have to do with the so-called oppressive dynamic between men and women? Now it's about white men. See, I know what I'm talking about. Feminism is nothing more than cultural Marxism, and it's about more than just feminism. It's about unseating, destroying traditional Western culture, which was built by white people. Good Lord. That should start at 3. This article is... And by the way, let me reiterate, this is from the New York Times. This is the New York Times pushing this communistic, Marxist, Leninist bullshit, telling you how to indoctrinate male children. They're not even trying to hide it. How could you be more obvious? You want evidence that communism is in control in America. Here you go. The media feels free to promote this man-hating, this communistic, Marxist, Leninist crap in one of the largest, what used to be one of the most respected newspapers in the world. Now it's not, of course. It's just a propaganda tool for the left. That should start at 3. Start indoctrinating your kid as soon as they can easily understand most of what you're saying. When they really pick up stereotypes. No, you're the one creating the stereotypes. You want to use every tool you can. You use the stereotypical tools as a way to manipulate and create and socially engineer people to see everybody in terms of identity. Of course, if you do that, it's easier to divide, conquer, and control people. You polarize them into groups. Yes, but we'll create the stereotypes. We don't want nature or reality to create and reflect that reality that created that stereotype. Oh no, we want to take that, co-opt it, use it as a tool to push our own beliefs, which are total bullshit. I see. Miss Brown said, if you don't help them label them as stereotypes, they assume this is the way it is. Yes, because that is the way it is. You pinhead, you. That's why you want to change and manipulate and re-engineer and socially engineer and re-educate these kids to believe what isn't true. That's what the left is all about. Taking those things, those tools, those aspects of reality that inform us about reality and then corrupting them. Okay? And then using those same tools to change, socially engineer, re-educate us to believe things that are total bullshit, which, of course, as the New York Times says, should start at the age of 3. Of course. Moving on. Oh, this one's hilarious. Finally, celebrate boyhood. Are you kidding me? You know what happened is the writer, by the end of this article, is lacking in self-awareness as this person was. They got to the end, and they realized, we were probably, maybe, definitely a little too anti-male. Yeah, we were a little too obvious in the fact that we hate men and that we want to destroy masculinity. So, let's try and end on a positive note that tries to make it look like we're promoting masculinity and that we approve of men and boys and don't have a problem with them. Yeah, because we've been too obvious in our biases up until this point. So, let's end on a so-called positive note and try to make it look like we don't have a problem with boys. Raising a son this way isn't just about telling boys what not to do. Sure it is. What are you talking about? This whole article is about telling boys what not to do. I love this. It's always the way somebody who needs to backpedal, It's like when you said something and then you stop yourself. It's like, oh, geez, I went too far there. And then the next sentence you say is an attempt to minimalize the damage or the bad impression that you've given with the prior sentence. So you try to backpedal and everything. and change and make it look like you don't really think what you just said you think. Or about racing gender. Oh, my God. Raise the son this way isn't just about telling boys what not to do. Yeah, that's all you did, this whole freaking article. Or about erasing gender differences altogether. Right, of course, because she realizes, whoever wrote this, that, I've been pretty unreasonable up until this point. I mean, I don't think I'm unreasonable. I think there are no gender differences. I want to push it to the point where we're all androgynous, and when we have babies, when we want to have babies, we just fuck ourselves and we pop out a baby. I don't even want different genders. I want everybody to be androgyni. Yeah, but of course, I can't push that because I realize in what little peanut exists of my objective brain that most people wouldn't accept that. So, I need to tone it down a bit. Yeah, I'm not all about erasing gender differences entirely, even though that's exactly what I spent this entire article doing. For instance, all male mammals engage in rough and tumble play, Miss Elliott said. Yeah, you don't want to get rid of that because you want to have at least some simp fools who can fight your wars for you. Of course. So, roughhouse. Yeah, you want to keep that roughhouse going so you can have enough knuckle-dragging, low-IQ morons who can grunt and fight for you to push your agenda on everybody else who doesn't agree with you. Crack jokes. Yeah, what are you talking about? You spent this whole article talking about how jokes are bad, they're evil. Oh, only if they're directed at women. Of course. But you didn't talk about any other joke cracking. All right, this article spent zero time whatsoever extolling the virtues of male. It's been 100% anti-man, 100% biased against men. The writer got to the end, realized this, and said, okay, I got to tip the scales a little bit and try to say something positive about men and manhood and masculinity so I don't look as biased as I actually look. Yeah, so roughhouse, crack jokes, watch sports, climb trees, build campfires. But this sounds like the Boy Scouts somewhat, what they do. And of course, the women infiltrated that as well. Oh, we have no problem with you cracking gender-neutral jokes and watching sports that we want to watch and climb trees. Well, we can climb trees too, so that's okay too. We're okay with everything that you do, so long as it's things we can do as well. And if you try to do something that we can't do, well, we've just got a problem with that because men and women are equal, don't you know? And we can do everything you can do, and we don't like it when you do things we can't do. Because it points out the obvious disparity between the sexes. And we can't have that because that might create stereotypes that reflect how reality really is. We can't have people seeing reality as it really is. Oh, no. Teach boys to show strength. The strength to acknowledge their emotions. Of course, not physical strength, not the advantages that we have over women. Oh, no. You should be encouraging boys to acknowledge and show their emotions. Right. Become more like women. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. The cognitive dissonance of this writer. So first she says, raising your son this way isn't about telling boys what not to do, which it is, or about erasing gender difference entirely, which it is. For instance, all male mammals engage in rough and tumble play. She's trying to essentially minimize all the damage she's done prior, and all this, and then she goes right back to attacking men and masculinity. Talk about cognitive dissonance. Lady, you have no self-awareness whatsoever. Jesus Christ. Teach them to provide for their families by caring for them. I mean, why is this called even celebrating boyhood? Because all it's talking about is how to be less a man. Ah, of course. So that's the only part of this one that's about celebrating boyhood is the title. Everything else is just more man bashing. Yes, be stronger, but not physically stronger, emotionally stronger. Have more courage to be less like a man and more like a woman. Teach them to provide for their families. Say what? What? This is brilliant! 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 So this entire article, this entire manifesto, which is so huge it took me forever to cover, about how to indoctrinate, how to re-educate, change a boy into a simp, pussy, wimp, mangina, cuck, white knight, wimp, essentially has spent the entire time emasculating men, teaching mothers, single mothers, obviously, or mothers with pussy husbands who are also male feminists, about how to cuck their sons, how to pussify them. And 10, at the very end, it tells you, be a traditional male. Talk about feminists wanting to have their cake and eat it too. Yes, be more like a woman. Don't be like a man. Embrace female qualities. Reject male qualities. But don't leave the plantation. Keep pulling that freaking plow. If you don't keep pulling that plow, we're going to shame your ass and whip your ass into submission. Oh, you gotta love it. Yeah, remain a slave. Free yourself from your supposed self-inflicted chains, but your self-inflicted slavery. But don't free yourself from us. Just free yourself from the chains you put on yourself to stop you from expressing your inner woman. Oh, my God. Teach them to provide for their family by caring for them. Yeah, so essentially, I should remain a simp, a wimp, a servant to women, while becoming more like a woman, but not so much like a woman that I don't still act as the plow horse that I am. I see. Show them how to be tough. Well, how am I going to show them to be tough? You've turned me into a wimp. You've turned me into a pussy. You've turned me into a weakling. You've turned me into a wussy boy, soy boy who has a testosterone level of an 80 or 100-year-old guy. How tough am I? I can't even pick up my own suitcase or that freaking 40-pound bottle of water, that big giant jug, and put it on the stand for the family. You've made me so weak, but I'm supposed to be tough for you? Get out of here. I've become, you raised a son who's 130 pounds soaking wet, okay? And you want him to be tough? Get out of here. Tough enough to stand up to intolerance. Oh, that kind of toughness. I see. Right. When they say intolerance, what they really mean is that people that don't tolerate the left's point of view, which is ideological, which is dogmatic, meaning it's 100% right. No evidence needed. It is right. This is the universal truth. And we cannot tolerate people disagreeing with that truth. Yeah. So when leftists, feminists say intolerance, what they really mean is that you agree with my bullshit or I'm going to pound your fucking head in. Give them confidence to pursue whatever they're passionate about. And of course, you've told them what to be passionate about by raising them to be male feminist pussies. Here, put some lipstick on, boy. Ooh, it's okay if you put on some nail polish. Here, put on some eyeliner. I want to turn you into a trans girly boy, queer pussy. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Come on, passionate. You socially engineer these people to have the exact same passions that you do, to be passionate about this ideology, to essentially be robots, to be unthinking zombie people. And then, of course, you want them to pursue those passions, to push this ideology on other people. I'll tell you, this is one of the best manifestos for creating a male feminist that I've ever seen. In fact, it is the best one I've seen. The New York Times really outdid themselves. And the only thing more surprising is that how blatantly obvious this is. The only thing more surprising than the blatant obviousness of this manifesto being published in the New York Times is the fact that nobody's talking about it. Where are the mainstream news? Oh, right, because they're all controlled by the same people. But I'm surprised I haven't seen more of you out there talking about this manifesto. So that's it. That is my 3-part review of the How to Make a Male Feminist Manifesto. I think it's shocking that one of the largest newspapers in America would print this, and I think it's even more shocking that so many of you people out there haven't seen it and raised an outcry. But that just tells you how bad things have gotten and how much communism, Marxism, Leninist, feminist bullshit has taken over the public consciousness. We need to change that. We need to see this nonsense for what it is and repudiate it at every turn. So let me know what you think in the comments section of this and the other videos, part 1 and 2. And please like and subscribe to my channel if you're so inclined. And donate to my Patreon. If you are also so inclined, you'll find a link both in the description and the last 20 seconds of this video. I am the MGTOW philosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.